Welcome to the NCAA Football Week 10 Predictive Playbook show. I am proud to say that we swept the board last night, gentlemen. Dr. Chuck, Jesse, and myself went a combined 3-0 against the number, and none of the games were really even close. I guess you could say Michigan State, the comeback, that was a little close, but there was no doubt about it with about 3 minutes to go in the game who was going to cover, even if Michigan did score. But we also had Georgia, and we also had Wake Forest, and Wake Forest was just a complete domination, probably greater than the Georgia win over Florida. So, guys, that's ancient history. We're on to this week. Our goal is to provide our growing list of viewers more winners, and last week now doesn't matter. So, let's get to it. We are now going to talk about the first game, which Chuck is going to be Pittsburgh coming off that disappointing loss. I wanted to see them get into the college football playoff just because it's a name we don't know, but they have a tremendous quarterback in Kenny Pickett. He just couldn't pull off enough completed passes last week in that loss. So Pittsburgh is visiting Duke, who's 3-5 and winless in the ACC. Pitt is 21-point favorite, over under 64 points. My first question for you, Chuck, is there going to be any letdown with Pittsburgh after that defeat, or do you think they're just going to throttle Duke?
Well, part of it is what we played on Wake Forest last week as far as hosting Duke and the debacle that we thought that would be, largely because of the Wake Forest offense, but also because of the Duke defense. And I saw nothing except what I exactly wanted to back the following week. I was pretty bullish on Miami. They were getting so many points, it just seemed like that was a gimme. And it kind of went that way, and I was hoping that it would for this exact reason, because I think there's nothing different about Pitt. I think they are a really solid team, amazing offense, but also an above-average defense. And this is more about the Miami Hurricanes, who things haven't gone well, and their coaching situation is always going to be in flux. But they're a really good football team with unbelievable talent, and probably more talented than Pittsburgh. So I think Pittsburgh, we're going to get a little bit of a discount, even though the market is catching up, because they are 3-0 on the road this year, and they only had to lay 3, I think, at Georgia Tech, and I think 3 or 4 at Virginia Tech, and those were both slaughters. And Duke isn't even in the ballpark of Georgia Tech or Virginia Tech, and they are ranking in the bottom 5 nationally, allowing 9.6 yards per pass attempt. That's not completion. And Kenny Pickett is just ripe to throw for 500 plus yards at any time. I think this should be 24 or 28. And I don't think, Pitt's averaging 44 points a game, period. Even in the losses, they're averaging that. And that means Duke's going to have to score 3 full touchdowns against a defense that still ranks in the top 20 to 25, doesn't turn the ball over against weak defenses, and they're 5-0 last 5 ATS against Duke, 5-1 ATS last 6 on the road, and I think this is a slaughter from start to finish.
That's good stuff, Dr. Chuck. Yeah, I think Pickett is going to pick them apart, no pun intended, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them score way into the 40s and just completely destroy them. I think they're probably going to be a little mad. Let's move on to Jesse Schule's game. And, I know him well enough I can kid him. Not surprising. He has found us a great opportunity, and it's not obscure. It's just one that I wouldn't have looked at, and that's why these shows are so great. It's 4 o'clock start. Utah State 6-2 at New Mexico State 1-7. This is at Aggie Memorial Stadium in New Mexico. Line is Utah State, a road 18.5-point favorite with a total of 71 points. Tell me where you think the best bet is for this game, Jesse.
Well, John, I like a dirty dog, and I know my man Chuck likes a dirty dog. And when you say dirty dog, you mean you're betting on a really bad team, and New Mexico State is a bad team. But they're getting 18.5 points here at home, coming off a bye week. This is a spot that I love to play home dogs. You might remember a few weeks ago I had South Florida getting a bunch of points at home against Tulsa, and they almost won that game outright. I think New Mexico State has a chance to keep this game close. Their offense is averaging 31 points a game over their last 3 all road games. Quarterback Jonah Johnson threw for almost 1,000 yards in those games, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had himself a big game even against a tough Nevada team. He threw for 425 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks against Nevada. Utah State, I mean, they're 6-2, but this is just their third road game. Their defense isn't very good. They're allowing about 30 points a game. Their last road game was a 28-24 win over UNLV, and UNLV is 0-8. So New Mexico State, they might be 1-7, but they're 6-1 against the spread in their last 7, and they're 8-0 against the spread in their last 8, coming off a loss. I think they can score enough points to hang with the Aggies here, the Utah State Aggies, that is.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. We have a game from Dr. Chuck this week, and it's in the Armed Forces ranks. And we all know how the under has gone with these Armed Forces games. But we do have Army on the road traveling to take on Air Force. This game is at 11:30 a.m. on Saturday at Choctaw Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Air Force a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under, not surprising, 37.5 points. Take it away, Chuck, and tell us where to bet on this game.
So the people wanted more than one pick. I'm going to give them more than one pick this week. And this is actually a neutral field, John. It's not Air Force at home. Yes, they are. Army is on the road, but they're both on the road here. So when Circa hung this, they hung it at -1, and it was immediately gobbled up. When the smart, sharp bettors realized this was basically judging the teams with the home field advantage. So Air Force is definitely more than a 1 or 2 point better team than Army. They have a fantastic defense. You may notice a lot of my plays are correlated from week to week. Army and Air Force are both coming off of a bye. Army off of that 70-point defensive debacle against Wake Forest. And Wake Forest is good on offense, but they're not that much better than, an average team would be against Army's defense. And Air Force is only allowing 16 points per game on defense. They excel on both sides of the ball. They're just a much better team than Army. I rank them on a neutral field, which is what we get here at -4. And so you can lay the 2.5. What my official play was going to be is the money line, which I think maybe you can get -135, -140. Jesse said we like dirty dogs. This is also, like John said, the under in these Armed Forces games. It's a 37, which in the college game, it's hard to swallow that under, but I couldn't imagine having the over either. But it's going to be hard for people to believe that Army's going to go from 56 points to what they're going to look like on Saturday morning, but I think it's going to look pretty ugly, and Air Force, I think, again, like with our other play, wins this pretty handily.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. And briefly, a shout out to Ralph Michaels, who got me thinking about unders that are 37.5 points or lower. He had a bunch of angles on the Bet On It show, and I actually got inspired to drill further. And did you know that Big Ten matchups with a total of 37.5 points or less, 9-0? And that was Wisconsin and Iowa this past week. A 27-7 hammering of Iowa by Wisconsin, and it went under. So the conventional wisdom would be to bet the over, but the history tells us 9-0 with Big Ten teams. So that's pretty cool stuff. We're going to move over to my game now, and I'm going to talk about Michigan State and that big win last week. All three of us were on Michigan State with our premium pick as well. And they're now rated number 5 in the polls. That don't mean anything because that East Division of the Big Ten still has to sort things out. Michigan State is only a 3-point favorite here on the road at Purdue, who beat Iowa, who now we know Iowa is nowhere close to being an exceptional team at the national level. It looks like that infamous word trap. And I hate that word trap, and so does head coach Mel Tucker. And he stated in his post-game press conference that he doesn't even know what that word means. He doesn't understand it. They go and show up every week, and they put out the best effort they can. And Mel Tucker's in his second year, and he already has turned this program around to being a contender in the Big Ten. They can't be underestimated at all. This game is taking place at Ross-Ade Stadium, West Lafayette, Indiana. And as I said, Michigan State is 3-point favorite. The over-under is 54. And I really do believe Michigan State will not have a letdown of any magnitude. Mel Tucker is a motivator. He has this team going on all cylinders, coming off a program-defining win, defeating that John Harbaugh-led team, Michigan, who has never beat Ohio State, by the way. And there's one angle here, guys. It has gone 25-10 over the last 3 seasons, roughly 73%. And you're going to bet on favorites that are road favorites, playing a team that is often upset win over a conference rival as an underdog, obviously, and playing a foe off a home win, which is Michigan State. And that home win was also as a 4.5-point underdog. And Jesse Schule did say that they would win outright last week on our 3-0 show. So I like Michigan State quite a bit. I can tell you right now that will be a 4% premium play for my all-access clients, and I think they win by double digits or more. And don't forget, last week I said Georgia was actually going to destroy, and I went out on a limb. And fortunately, that limb didn't break, and they took care of basically humiliated Florida last week. So, gentlemen, I think that's all we have for today. And we're going to look forward to another 4-0 sweep, maybe. Every play I like that we went over this week. And I will emphasize in closing that the key to following and tailing our plays is don't try to decide how much you're going to bet. If you can afford $100 per bet, bet it every single time. Don't think that, okay, well, I like this one a little bit more because Chuck said this and I really like that. Be disciplined. $100, $50, $10, whatever it is, every single week. And resist the temptation to bet more when we're on a hot streak. That's a sure recipe for not making money. So on behalf of Dr. Chuck, Jesse Schule, and myself, and the Predictive Playbook cast of shows, may all the wins be yours in Week 10. Thanks for watching.